Did you know there is an instinct in women so powerful it can make them walk away from their children, their family, and a life built over years in just days? Jung revealed a truth that shook psychology. Inside the female mind moves an archaic force stronger than love or reason. Because of this instinct, a woman can give you devotion today and still walk away tomorrow. It explains why even brilliant women sometimes choose what looks like self-destruction, turning from the man who gives them everything toward the man who offers nothing. Jung called this the best-kept secret of female nature, a mechanism older than civilization, written into her DNA to secure something specific. Once you understand it, you will never see a woman's choices the same way again. It forces an awakening you're not ready for. In psychology's deepest archives lies a discovery so profound it overturned what we thought we knew. Jung spent years exploring the psyche, yet nothing prepared him for what he found about women's hidden impulses. What he uncovered wasn't theory, but biological fact. This instinct works beneath the surface, shaping choices that seem senseless to outsiders. It ignores status, education, intelligence, money, age, and experience. Jung learned it is tied to survival, an unconscious program seeking the strongest genetic material. This is where it becomes unsettling. The instinct doesn't care about compatibility, shared values, or long-term harmony. It runs on ancient code from a world where scarcity ruled and strength decided who survived. In today's world, its expression can feel alarming. A woman may sincerely want stability, kindness, and emotional care. She may believe those are her highest values. Yet when this instinct activates, those values move aside. Suddenly, she's drawn to men her rational mind calls dangerous, arrogant, unpredictable, risky. These are not deliberate choices. They're preloaded reactions that bypass logic. Women who feel this switch often say, "I don't feel like myself." They make decisions that clash with their character, ignore friends' warnings, and abandon plans they once cherished. This isn't a flaw. It's a vital process that doesn't run daily but takes control during key seasons. Biological cycles, life transitions, psychological turning points. Recognizing this pattern became one of Jung's most important insights into the female mind. Jung found that this instinct operates without affection. A woman can truly love a man, remember every tender moment, and still feel a pull toward a completely different type of man. And that's where her inner struggle begins, a war between biology and intention. This instinct doesn't care about romance. It doesn't care about emotional harmony or promises. It runs on ancient algorithms forged when survival depended on dominance and strength. Its impact on the modern world is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. A woman may crave stability and believe kindness and loyalty are her values. But when this instinct awakens, those desires fade. She's drawn to men with traits her logical mind labels dangerous, and the signals that trigger this pull are sharp, precise, and universal. Safety wrapped in arrogance feels stronger than humble kindness. Unpredictability excites more than calm reliability. Risk-taking ignites desire faster than careful planning. These are pre-programmed responses, silent code running beneath rational thought. Women who experience this shift describe it the same way. It feels like I'm not myself. They make decisions that seem out of character, dismiss warnings, and abandon commitments. This is not foolishness. It's biology taking command at specific life moments. This instinct can override years of loyalty. Jung recorded cases of women leaving stable relationships after a single encounter with a man who awakened this ancient reaction. Her conscious mind will try to justify it, but the decision was made far beneath awareness. What makes this instinct even more striking is how it changes her perception. The same behaviors feel threatening from one man but thrilling from another. Emotional distance from a stable partner feels cold, yet from the man who triggers her biology, it feels magnetic. According to Jung, resisting this instinct is nearly impossible because it hijacks the brain's reward system. When a woman encounters a man who activates it, her brain floods with dopamine, adrenaline, and euphoria, the same chemicals driving hunger, thirst, and survival. She does not choose these feelings. They happen to her. They move through her like a storm that cannot be reasoned with or restrained. And this is why so much relationship advice fails. Logic collapses the moment this instinct takes control. It silences reason entirely. In the ancient world, when survival outweighed personal happiness, this instinct was a strength, not a flaw. It was a weapon ensuring nature's priorities were fulfilled, even at the cost of tearing apart a carefully built life. It served evolution, not comfort. Understanding this instinct doesn't reduce women to biology. It highlights the hidden power shaping humanity for thousands of years. Jung wasn't condemning these responses. He aimed to illuminate them, exposing the illusion that we fully control our choices. The most unsettling revelation was how this instinct interacts with love. We like to believe love is the strongest force in a relationship, but Jung discovered something deeper, an impulse that moves even when love remains alive, an instinct older than emotion itself. Love grows slowly through trust and shared experience. But this instinct does not grow, it strikes. It does not erase love, it overpowers it. A woman may still love her partner deeply, yet feel an unstoppable pull toward a man who activates this ancient program. Inside her, two voices begin to battle, one whispering loyalty and gratitude, the other demanding danger, change, and something she cannot name. What follows is confusion, guilt, and choices that contradict everything she once believed about herself. At the root of this override lies chemistry. Love releases oxytocin and dopamine, but this survival instinct triggers norepinephrine and adrenaline, a potent mix sharpening focus and igniting a drive so intense it feels supernatural, overwhelming her reasoning. This is why her behavior can change suddenly. Not because she stopped loving, but because something deeper has taken the wheel. This chemical storm does not influence thoughts, it rewrites them. It rearranges emotions and flips her inner world upside down. When this ancient switch activates, her reality shifts. Her pulse quickens, senses sharpen, and the man who triggered it becomes the center of gravity. Everything else, work, plans, even long-term attachments, begins to fade as though they are losing color. This instinct doesn't creep in. It crashes into her life like lightning. Love grows like a slow fire, but this instinct strikes instantly, sometimes triggered by a glance, a touch, or a single sentence that lands like a spark on dry grass, igniting her biology. Sometimes it's not words but presence, the way he stands, his calm, his confidence. And from that instant, a chain reaction begins. Dopamine surges, adrenaline floods, and her attention narrows until he becomes the emotional center of her internal universe. Once this drive finds its target, logic breaks. Women who spent years building a stable life can suddenly feel ready to abandon everything for someone they barely know. This is not shallow betrayal, it is the ruthless precision of ancient biology at work. Jung found that when this switch is activated, abandonment is rarely slow. It is sudden, intense, almost violent in speed. A woman may spend years making careful decisions, but once the instinct takes over, all deliberate thinking is swept away like dust. Her brain assigns one man absolute priority. Her career, once meaningful, now feels empty. Her future plans begin to suffocate her. Even her home, the place she once found comfort, starts to feel like a cage she must escape from at any cost. This tunnel vision explains her actions. Normally her decisions balance values, family, reputation, and security. But once this program ignites, that balance disappears. Her world is filtered through one question: does this bring me closer to what I now desire? Anything that supports this new desire glows with urgency. Anything that stands in the way fades into background noise. Even her self-image changes. Promises she made begin to feel like chains. The life she built begins to feel like a script she never chose. Friends who once felt supportive now feel like obstacles. Family becomes a barrier blocking her from what she believes she is destined to experience. Nature doesn't just nudge her. It lowers the value of anything competing with this new attraction. This isn't a simple shift of attention. It's a rewriting of her inner world. And the most disturbing part is this: it happens silently. There's no alarm, no warning. She truly believes she's acting freely, waking up to her most authentic desires. To her, it feels like clarity, like she has stopped lying to herself, like she is finally choosing the life she was meant to live. But in reality, this isn't freedom. It is programming, ancient software running perfectly beneath consciousness. Jung called this emotional reframing. The same house, same partner, same friends now feel different. What once felt warm becomes suffocating. What once felt safe becomes confining. What once felt like love now feels like a chain tightening around her throat. At this point, her entire world can pivot on a single choice. A relationship that once felt secure suddenly feels hollow. The man who once made her feel protected now feels heavy. And none of this comes from logic. It comes from silent neurological shifts. These changes don't arrive with reason or analysis. They emerge from deep, silent events inside her brain. That's what makes this instinct dangerous. It changes not just how she feels today, but how she remembers the past. Past conflicts she once forgave suddenly expand in importance. Old mistakes begin to feel like proof the relationship was doomed all along. Meanwhile, good memories fade like dissolved ink. Her entire history rewrites itself to match her new emotional reality. Her life begins to look darker than it truly is. Her relationship feels colder than it actually is. And new possibilities, no matter how uncertain or risky, start glowing with an intense pull, drawing her forward like a moth to flame. This shift doesn't stop at memory, it narrows her focus. Traits she once valued, kindness, reliability, shared vision, lose their power. Her mind becomes magnetized to confidence, danger, unpredictability. Qualities she once avoided now feel irresistible. She may ignore glaring red flags in the new man, framing them as passion or depth. At the same time, she becomes hypercritical of her current partner, magnifying small flaws into reasons for escape. This is nature filtering her perception, not conscious betrayal. To her, it feels authentic. Jung observed women in this state saying they felt awake for the first time in years. They believe they've finally discovered what they truly want. But this isn't spiritual awakening, it's ancient programming wearing a mask. It doesn't feel like outside influence, it feels like truth, like destiny. And the strength of this force becomes clearest when she tries to resist it. Even when she knows the new man is wrong, her mind keeps returning to him again and again. She'll try to redirect her thoughts, but they snap back like a stretched rubber band. This is not obsession in the casual sense. And once this happens, the emotional distancing begins. Not intentionally, she's not trying to hurt anyone. Her emotional energy is being redirected automatically, without consent. Her partner feels the shift before she even speaks it. Conversations become shorter. Everything begins to feel like a countdown, even if she hasn't made any conscious decisions yet. She'll start comparing the two men subconsciously. Not through fairness, but through emotional bias. The new man gets idealized, the old man gets minimized. She doesn't see reality, she sees emotion-filtered versions of both. This is when her partner senses something is wrong. He feels replaced before he actually is. Her absence becomes louder than her presence. Silence becomes a signal. The relationship begins to erode not through conflict, but through withdrawal. This stage is devastating because it is invisible. She hasn't cheated, she hasn't left, she hasn't confessed. But emotionally, she's already halfway out the door. Her body stays, but her mind roams freely somewhere else. Attempts to reconnect often fail. Not because she hates him, but because her attraction circuitry has already shifted. She can't feel what she used to feel. It's like trying to fall back in love with a memory that no longer has color. The partner begins to panic. He tries to fix things with effort, affection, gifts, or emotional conversations. But these don't reach her anymore. When the instinct shifts, logical attempts to restore closeness feel suffocating to her. She begins to resent these efforts even if they're loving. To her, every attempt feels like pressure, like being pulled back into a life she no longer recognizes as her own. She interprets care as control. Concern becomes criticism. This is when she emotionally detaches. She stops sharing her thoughts, stops planning the future, stops seeking comfort. It's a quiet breakup happening long before the real one arrives. A slow fading instead of a sudden end. The new man continues to grow in her imagination, filling the gaps left by the emotional decline. She builds stories around him, stories of excitement, possibility, passion, freedom. He becomes the antidote to her dissatisfaction. Even if nothing has happened between them, she begins living in a dual reality, the life she has and the life she imagines. And the imagined life always wins, because fantasy is flawless, and real relationships require maintenance. This inner conflict creates emotional turbulence. She feels guilty but excited, afraid but hopeful, torn but drawn forward. She may start justifying her feelings as personal growth or awakening, unaware she is being pulled by biology more than clarity. Her partner becomes a symbol of her past self, the version she wants to shed. The new man becomes a symbol of who she thinks she could become. This isn't love versus love. It's identity versus identity. A shift in attraction becomes a shift in identity. And once her identity shifts, the relationship has already crossed the point of no return. Even if she stays, she won't stay fully. Even if she tries, she can't reverse the emotional rewiring. At this stage, leaving feels inevitable.